Yo, what's going on? It's Rosario. I'm here with the Avalanche, and it's about to get cold.
You feel me? What's going on?
The name Elijah, based on what my parents told me, my dad's a pastor for one, and my mother, she was a school teacher, but really faith-driven. From what I understand is an angel visited my parents and told them about me and my becoming. The angel told them to name me Elijah, and then of course, Rosario, that stems from my father's last name because my dad is Puerto Rican and Black and Bajan, which is from Barbados. Yeah, I got a little bit of West Indian, some Puerto Rican, but I don't speak no Spanish. A little bit learning with my daughter, so I'm kind of like on like a 3-year-old level of learning, but I'm getting there. And that's where the name Elijah comes from, Elijah Rosario. Man, being a dad, in general, like forget the artistry of it all. Just being a father is a huge responsibility because raising little girls, because you're like their first love. You're gonna be their first example of how a man should make them feel, or really just how anybody should make them feel. I'm learning how to be more patient and learning how to just allow myself to be more vulnerable. And then there's the artistry side. So what I've gotten to now is no longer separating the artist from the man. I'm combining the two, which is why I chose to never even have an alias name for myself. I wanted people to get to know me as a person. It's all in the one, and now I've been able to marry the two and no longer separate them. You know, it can get tough to balance it out just because being an artist requires so much, but at the end of the day, I do anything for my family, and when duty calls, and that's just bottom line. Yeah, I've been married for 3 years, going on 4. My wife and I will be seeing 4 years of marriage on July 13th. And yeah, appreciate that, man. It ain't easy, but it's good. I was in Houston, Texas, and I seen somebody, I DM'd her. I sent her a wave hand emoji. It was corny. I was going through some things, just trying to detach from my past toxic ways. So I was trying to figure out a new angle, and luckily for me, she thought that I was Nigerian and was like, wow, this might be a prince. And because the way I appeared on Instagram, like you would have thought I had it together. But it turned out I didn't have my life together. I was just figuring it out. But luckily she got a chance to know the real me, and we've been rocking ever since, man. Ooh, 3 winter essentials. Not gonna lie, it's because I'm a smoker, I always gotta have a pair of gloves because I like to step outside. Puffy jacket, important. And I'll probably say the chapstick. Can't go nowhere without the Carmex. Just the simple little $1 chapstick, the black one, the blue one, the red one, don't matter your flavor or choice. Don't pull up to nobody with ashy lips. Well, a lot of it really is culture. First, it starts off more so culture. When I speak on culture, I'm speaking more so on like upbringing, the music culture specifically. So growing up in the household, I wasn't listening to top 40 radio hits. I wasn't listening to hip hop. I didn't hear my first hip hop song until I was the age of 12 years old. As I grew up, my dad was playing a lot of Marvin Gaye, a lot of Teddy Pendergrass, a lot of the OJs. I grew up like that my entire being, so I grew up watching like the Temptations and how they would dress, and you seen the movie, you seen how fly David Ruffin was, and that style is timeless. Definitely influenced a lot of the ways I dress, and it also is a way for me to just show my age. Like I'm not afraid to show people I ain't gonna be young forever. I like the whole rock and roll mix with the 70s get up, like, so I like the flary pants and I like the leather. When it just came to me just getting more confident over time and tapping into myself, I stopped wearing things that was gonna hide my personality. It's a representation of that. It's a true representation of me. I don't try, I just throw whatever I want on in my closet and keep it going. I used to work retail, and when I got my first luxury retail job, I started learning more about fabrics and textures. So I stopped wearing a lot of patterns for that reason, because I wanted to be able to do monochromatic. I wanted to be able to put, a black wool, sweater with a leather jacket and wear some, cotton pants. That's another big part of it. I try to play with textures more than I do play with patterns. My go-to thing in the studio is one, I always gotta have a cup of coffee. I always take a puff of a clove. I always smoke a clove. I always keep a jug of water, or at least 2 bottles of water. My voice is already kind of raspy, but I like to create an extra amount of raspiness in my voice, which is what the smoke will give you. From the coffee can dry out some of the bass out of your voice and give you more of that raspy texture. So I do that every time before I record, and that's how I get my raspy tone. I really just like to be aware of everything going on. If I'm aware, then I'm good. My mom passed away 3 years ago on Christmas Day, 2019. After she passed, I started going through different parts of myself, understanding different parts of myself. A big part of that was handling grief, being a new father, being a husband for the first time, it's all happening at once. And then COVID also struck right after she passed away. Too much happening in the world. And so I sat around, I was getting myself together, focusing on becoming a better parent, focusing on becoming a better husband. And over the course of time, I had to let go of the grief. I had to let go and start becoming happy again. And I found my way into music and taking that serious, and that became my lifeline in a sense. And so fast forward, I would say in like 2021, late 21, we had just dropped Genuine Truths. And I remember just being in bed one night and I was sleeping. In my dreams, I kept hearing the words discovery after death being whispered to me. And so I was like, maybe I'm just tripping, but it came back around and someone was like, that call out your next project and tell people your story. You're that person who is bubbly, who's vibrant, who's happy, who has that confidence and no longer needs validation from others. What I'm giving you from the rollout to the album, even to where we are now today, you get to see me as the person who came out of the battle and actually had victory. So Phone Home, that's one of my favorite records off the project. It's one of the most popular ones off the project right now. Albuquerque, New Mexico. I reached out to my guy, Beats by Mark, shout out Beats by Mark. And I say, yo, we're about to hit the studio for like 4 hours in Albuquerque, but I have no beats. And so he's like, all right, bro, I'm gonna get back to the crib, send you a pack. So he sent me a pack of like 6 beats. And there was this beat called No Money. And I click on the beat called No Money just to hear what it's like. Mind you, I just left the dispensary and I definitely blazed some Albuquerque, New Mexico weed. And I never hit the studio high, but man, when I clicked that beat, bro, and I heard that Jag tag, I heard the Chuck, you made this tag, and I heard the Beats by Mark tag, and then the piano and the man, it spoke to me. So we get in the studio, we in Albuquerque. It took us like an hour, like made that from scratch. Took us an hour to make that. And then I sat some people in the room, let them hear it, and it's like, yeah, that's a special. It has a lot of sentimental value, just talking about, finding my way back to my wife, getting myself, out of the grieving stages, and even mentioning of me being on tour at the moment. Cause like I said, I was in Albuquerque and that was the start of our Can't Get Enough tour last year. But Phone Home, man, it's definitely become a beautiful one. And speaking of tour, we're actually about to go back on tour starting March 10th. Discovery After Death Tour Phase 1. I'll be in Washington, D.C. I'll be in Richmond, Virginia. I'll be in Durham, North Carolina. I'll be in Greensboro. I'll be in Charlotte. And I'll be in Boone. So, if you're out there, come see me. This is Elijah Rosario, and I just wrapped up the interview with the Avalanche.